This is essentially like the Ministry of Foreign Affairs, that diplomatic wing of the church that engages various aspects of society, community, decision makers, people of influence, the various arms of government, and so on and so forth, in order for us to be able to mingle with the world and be able to be of positive influence. Pastor Kindo, from the division level, and of course you integrate this department with evangelism, which in my view is extremely critical, because evangelism is what then projects our message out there to the people, and PARL then tries to develop warm relationships so that that path of evangelism is not hindered. What would you have to say as we begin this conversation?
Personally, I would like to talk about how PARL is, at the moment, the status of PARL in the church today, in our division. I think this is a department that's extremely critical to the church, but that's not well understood. And as a department, just at the head of this department right now, my burden has been how to make this ministry properly understood and how to make it operational at all levels of the church, whether the unions, whether the local conferences, and particularly the local church, even at the family level. How do we ensure that this ministry is understood and it's operating correctly? To diminish the many misunderstandings that have cropped up in the absence of correct information. The first thing, for example, we have not had a handbook for the department, so that even at the local church, for example, if you want to teach, you don't have resources that are sufficient from where the leaders of the department or the pastors can make reference and teach authoritatively. In the absence of such reference books, it's very difficult for you to explain these things. You'll always be feeling like, I'm not very sure whether what I'm saying is the correct information. And
which was, how did we get involved? Now, the PARL department exists since 1901, but the religious liberty aspect of it goes before that.
1893.
Precisely in 1888, in America, there were two bills proposed at the Congress. One was to actually make America into a Christian nation, right? So that's one of them. And Adventists oppose that because they say, if a country declares itself of one religion, there will be minorities who will be disadvantaged, So, so that was one aspect. The other aspect is Senator Blair of New Hampshire at that time proposed a Sunday law, right? Sunday were to become mandatory for all Americans. So Adventists decided that they were going to oppose that, and they created an association. Actually, at the beginning, the association was called North American Religious Liberty Association. But then they realized very quickly that this is a universal value, religious liberty. It cannot be limited to the national arena. So therefore they expanded that association, which became, from National Religious Liberty Association, it became International Religious Liberty Association. And this is because of the universal value that religious liberty is. And since that time, Adventists have championed religious liberty. So it was part of our story, basically, that we need to secure this right, freedom of conscience, to all people, not just for Adventists. Of course, our Sabbath was an issue, in many areas, but this is something also that other people could benefit. I mean, even people who want to observe their Sunday, they should have the religious freedom to do so. So we were very open to say, this is not a human right that is restrictive to Adventists, but we open to defend the freedom of conscience of other people also. But as a matter of fact, it goes even beyond the issue of freedom of conscience, because the first president of the Seventh-day Adventist Church, his name was John Byington. He was part of the Underground Railroad, meaning people who were helping slaves escape. Because, you cannot just defend one right and neglect the other. So, coming to tell people, well, you have religious freedom if they are slaves, that's not, consistent. So, John Byington, the first Adventist president, himself was involved in helping slaves run away from the South, for example. And since that time, Adventists have been promoters of religious liberty, but our understanding of religious liberty is more profound, it's deeper, because, like in 1993, there was a conference at the United Nations, and they came up with this formulation: all human rights are interrelated, interdependent, and indivisible. So, which means if you defend one right, to be consistent, you also have to be mindful of other rights. So you cannot come to tell people, well, I am for religious liberty and neglect being for justice, for example. So all human rights are interrelated, interdependent, and indivisible. So this is the reason why we Adventists, yes, generally we are not known as marching outside or, but our understanding of human nature, human beings, and human rights is very profound. And this we want to share in the public place.
Und es entstand ein Kampf im Himmel. Michael und seine Engel kämpften gegen den Drachen, und der Drache und seine Engel kämpften, aber sie siegten nicht, und ihre Stätte wurde nicht mehr im Himmel gefunden. Und so wurde der große Drache niedergeworfen, die alte Schlange, genannt der Teufel und der Satan, der den ganzen Erdkreis verführt. Er wurde auf die Erde hinabgeworfen, und seine Engel wurden mit ihm hinabgeworfen. Und ich sah aus dem Meer ein Tier aufsteigen, das 7 Köpfe und 10 Hörner hatte, und auf seinen Hörnern 10 Kronen, und auf seinen Köpfen einen Namen der Lästerung. Und das Tier, das ich sah, glich einem Panther, und seine Füße waren wie die eines Bären, und sein Rachen wie ein Löwenrachen. Und der Drache gab ihm seine Kraft und seinen Thron und große Vollmacht. Und ich sah einen seiner Köpfe wie zu Tode verwundet, und seine Todeswunde wurde geheilt. Und die ganze Erde sah verwundert dem Tier nach. Und sie beteten den Drachen an, der dem Tier Vollmacht gegeben hatte, und sie beteten das Tier an und sprachen: Wer ist dem Tier gleich? Wer vermag mit ihm zu kämpfen? Daher ermahne ich dich ernstlich vor dem Angesicht Gottes und des Herrn Jesus Christus, der Lebendige und Tote richten wird, um seiner Erscheinung und seines Reiches willen: Verkündige das Wort, tritt dafür ein, es sei gelegen oder ungelegen, überführe, tadle, ermahne mit aller Langmut und Belehrung. Denn es wird eine Zeit kommen, da werden sie die gesunde Lehre nicht ertragen, sondern sich selbst nach ihren eigenen Lüsten Lehrer beschaffen, weil sie empfindliche Ohren haben, und sie werden ihre Ohren von der Wahrheit abwenden und sich den Legenden zuwenden. Ich kenne deine Werke und deine Bemühungen und dein Ausharren, und dass du die Bösen nicht ertragen kannst. Und du hast die geprüft, die behaupten, sie seien Apostel und sind es nicht, und hast sie als Lügner erkannt. Ich kenne deine Werke und deine Drangsal und deine Armut, du bist aber reich. Und die Lästerung von denen, die sagen, sie seien Juden und sind es nicht, sondern eine Synagoge des Satans.